Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the kind of dark future of the Todd, Grimshaw and Theo Silverton storyline. Now this one's kind of been fairly polarizing, fairly controversial over the last year because you introduce Theo, who's this kind of hyper masculine scaffolder who proceeded to kind of show that, you know, maybe there were more cracks in the armor. Maybe there were more, like, slashes to the armor than we thought. And through slow or quite quickly getting into a relationship with Todd Grimshaw, we would start to realize that maybe his happy family life isn't all that it seems. And it continues further, where we've had some hints throughout, though, where Theo has shown to have some controlling behavior. Theo has shown to have a temper. Theo has proven a lot of self-hatred and has been quite content to let out his anger, let out his frustrations on Todd. This on top of a history of being conversion of a history of having to go through conversion therapy has made Theo quite aggressive, quite angry, and he has shown a lot of the kind of pillar examples of, now trigger warning, coercive control and domestic violence. So it was a bizarre time when they introduced the story, because you go, oh, this is great. But then, as if you watch Soap for any extended period of time, you started to notice some of the details, right? Where you had Theo would always prioritize everyone else but Todd, and even when Todd would try to fight his battles for him, like he would do, Theo would lash out. And when we would see his little confrontations with James Bailey, his little confrontations with Billy, with Summer, we would see he would have a much different tone towards them as opposed to Todd. And we also set up a lot of chemistry, a lot of the kind of future, what the future for Todd looks like, which I would imagine is the case. You know how when they'd Kirsty Soames and Tyrone, and they at some point threw in the fact that obviously him and Fizz started to like each other because obviously Fizz didn't hurt him. It feels like they're setting up that person for Todd to be James Bailey, who will inevitably not necessarily save Todd from Theo, but definitely will be there when the dust settles. And alternatively, we know that Billy Mayhew's exit is in at the start of the next year. So there's a high chance that Billy Mayhew kind of ends as a result. Maybe he dies at Christmas. Maybe he dies due to Theo. Maybe he gets wrapped up in this storyline as well. And it's kind of an interesting one as well, because I mean, first, they traditionally like to do big press releases about this, and they haven't really done it a lot this year with Coronation Street, and you can understand why, because there's a lot of scrutiny. It's just kind of like all right, let's just get on with it kind of deal. But also, it probably is good for, like, just trigger warnings and just making people aware that it's happening. And it's just a weird one, because you're taking someone who has dealt with conversion therapy, which we thought was going to be the storyline that was going to take him through, and now he's alternatively going to be a domestic abuser. Not really the best angle for conversion therapy. Not really. It's supposed to be about him kind of embracing himself and loving himself. But still a bold choice, and one that's been given to the new Todd, who is, at this point, I know it's quite bold, probably is the definitive Todd, and I highly doubt Bruno Langley will ever be back. But I will genuinely suggest that he is the Todd now. He's spent, 5 years as Todd. And this will be the storyline that will kind of remind everybody that Todd is a really kind of interesting character. And he's been a really good character for a while. right? He has been. And this is kind of coupled with the fact that it's also kind of like situationally, it also makes sense because Eileen's gone. Jason and Todd aren't really on good terms. Billy's leaving. James Bailey's not really gotten started. Summer, who knows what Summer does when Billy leaves. Todd is probably, at this point, more isolated than he's ever been. And that's kind of the MO, right? It's the MO of a domestic abuser, where you will take someone who you believe may be vulnerable. You isolate them from the family and friends, and you make them reliant on you. And at that point, you start to manipulate, control, bully, financially dominate. You know, these are just things that can happen. If you've not had that much like reference point, think of Yasmin and Jeff, or think of Abe and Cleo in Hollyoaks. I mean, there's been a lot of cases of like domestic abuse in soap over the last couple of years. It's definitely, especially coercive control, that's definitely become a big kind of focus point. And it's one of those things where I'm glad that it's being shown. I firmly am. But also, it feels a little bit too... I don't know, maybe there's just been a lot. There's just been... It's not necessarily come in waves, but it definitely has manifested a lot more over the last couple of years in soap. And it's good for awareness, and I'll fully reiterate that. I do think it's really good for awareness. But it's not... I don't know, like... I appreciate that you want to show a really big, important, dramatic storyline. And you are. But also... If Coronation Street is... Sorry, it took me a while to phrase it in my brain. If Coronation Street is currently being viewed as the dull, boring, dark, gritty soap, maybe you don't do this storyline. But also, I won't lie, I do think there's a lot of good potential. I think Theo, you know, if you kind of limit his... you limit the range that he has to do, I think you're probably fine. But I think if you take Todd in this position, I mean, it's Todd. Todd years ago would scoff at someone going through this, because Todd was this ridiculously confident, very proud of himself, very kind of egotistical, comfortable in his sexuality, comfortable in who he is as a person. He would probably scoff at someone going through this like years ago. And now it's kind of the perfect time, and it will be once again. It's weird that we have to have another breakthrough storyline for Todd, but obviously the Bruno Langley stuff will, you know, forever kind of stains the character as such. So you do have to try and kind of replace it somehow. So let's read this article. So, Coronation Street star confirms shocking future of Todd and Theo dark storyline. Theo's recently exhibited worrying behaviour. This article, obviously, the article discusses coercive control and domestic violence. Coronation Street star Gareth Pierce, who plays Todd, has confirmed the storyline involving Todd and Theo will take an even darker turn. The pair got together earlier this year, though their romantic relationship has been far from plain sailing given Theo's situation with his family and his past trauma in which he was the subject of conversion therapy. After it looked like things were going in the right direction, it slowly became apparent that Theo harboured a controlling streak as he attempted to distance his boyfriend from his closest friends and family. Next week's scenes, we'll see Theo make his boldest move yet as he orders Todd to stay away from Billy Mayhew, and Pierce, who plays Todd in the ITV soap, has shared it'll be the beginning of an even darker storyline. Todd is in danger, the actor told The Mirror. Theo's behaviour is becoming increasingly controlling. There's a moment coming up where he becomes physically abusive for the first time. There's a line that's definitely been crossed, it's hard to watch. Further down the road, there's financial control. It's frustrating the audience. They're a little further ahead than Todd in recognising what's going on. The audience is party to a couple of occasional sadistic glances from Theo that Todd doesn't see. Theo's physical abuse comes after he attempts to coerce Todd into becoming distant from his friends, with Theo issuing his partner an ultimatum in which he suggests he would end their relationship if Todd doesn't agree to his suggestions. Theo doesn't want Todd's attention to be on anyone but him, explains our Corrie insider. He's already threatened to leave their relationship and makes it quite clear if Todd chooses Billy's friendship over him, they are finished. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I would say I'm looking forward to it. I can't lie, I have been skipping through Coronation Street. Like I was really far behind, so I went, I'll do a big catch up. Then I watched like 4 or 5 episodes and went, I'll just start from now. I'll just start from today's date, and I haven't watched it since. So yeah, just the unfortunate case. It's just not gripping me at the minute, and that's fine. But sometimes when it's not gripping you, it's good to take a break. Just means it's weird to make these videos when I'm less engaged in what's going on. I think this will be good. I do. I think this will kind of ground it in more reality. Now, how the fast-moving relationship works kind of makes more sense with how Todd and Theo's relationship is kind of really quickly advanced. And that is kind of a textbook domestic abuser kind of scenario where a relationship will happen very quickly. So, you know, you can isolate them from their friends and you can control them as such. So, yeah, I think this will be a good one. I'm surprised they haven't made more press around it, but I can't lie, I do think Kate Brooks just kind of wants to get on with it and doesn't want as much attention as she may possibly be kind of thrust upon it. She's already had a lot of attention in the bad ways, and that's mostly just because of ITV's misdoing. So yeah, it's obviously not one to be excited for, but still important case to tell. And you know, the Jeff and Yasmin, as much as it did happen around COVID time, I still say it probably was one of the better storylines that this, you know, Ian McLeod had done. So yeah, it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Well, not fun. It should be enjoyable. Hard to watch, but still enjoyable. But yeah, tell me what you think about this Todd and Theo storyline. Sorry about the messy hair. This is me just after the gym. Yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.